The most powerful magi in history have returned to destroy the world. 10 years ago, the most powerful magus in history used the most powerful sword in the world to try to dominate the world and transform it into his ideal worldview. All the most powerful magi knights of the kingdom appeared to try to stop him, including the one who would be the next magus king. Together, they managed to stop the attack of the most powerful magus of all. But he still had one last trick, using his powerful magic, which is capable of summoning various different spells at the same time. He got rid of this onslaught of the magi and used the sword, the most powerful item in the world, which can suck the magical energy from everything around it. This man named Conrad wants to destroy this world and create a new one at any cost, and he has enough power to do it. After destroying the knights with a super powerful attack, he thinks he has won. However, the next Magus King had a surprise. His name is Julius, and he has the power to control time. Using all his strength, he managed to lock Conrad and the sword in a temporal prison from which he could never escape. Even seeing that he lost, Conrad said until the last moment that his true magic was the power to never give up. The Magus King Julius managed to save the world from this threat and began his reign of peace and security. But many things happened, and today at a tournament in the country's capital, we see that the Magus King Julius is not the same anymore. He has returned to being a child because of a side effect of a magic that he had to use in this tournament. He is watching the strongest Magi Knights in the world will fight each other, so that perhaps the winner will have the chance to become the next Magus King. The audience is packed with other knights and the general public who want to watch these battles. And the first competitor appears. His name is Yuno, and he is the vice captain of one of the most powerful squads in the kingdom. Being a super powerful young man, he has many fans. Suddenly his opponent appears. It's someone masked to not reveal his identity, but knows him very well. It's his childhood rival, Asta, the protagonist of this story. As soon as the battle begins, hits us with a super powerful blow, but Asta easily undoes it using his great black sword. However, before they can continue, some hooded figures appear in the stadium. And we discover that among these figures is that Magus King from the beginning of the story. One of the men creates a barrier around the stadium and with a radio, uses the powerful sword to suck the energy from all the inhabitants of that place. Conrad managed to return to this world after the last battle of the Magus King Julius, when he made a small mistake, and Conrad used this chance to break his seal, and in addition he resurrected 3 other ancient Magus Kings, the most powerful of all. They are there and attack to dominate the kingdom. Luckily, Asta and the strongest knights were there and managed to reduce the power of this attack by counterattacking the magic of these ancient Magus Kings. Asta destroys the magic soldiers with his sword and receives help from Yuno. A squad mate of the star called Noel also appears to help. But it turns out that everyone is having a bit of a problem because the sword is sucking their magical energy. Star, who doesn't have magic in his body, is not affected because he draws his powers from something known as anti-magic and has a kind of demon inside his grimoire. However, even the combined efforts of everyone do not make a difference against 4 Magus Kings. They are extremely powerful. After all, they were the most powerful magi of their time. Everyone is there to support Conrad, because they think his vision of a new world is much better than what is currently happening. They unite to destroy Asta and his friends, and it is amazing to see that he possesses this anti-magic and can destroy their attacks. But they are powerful, and all the magicians stand no chance against them. Even though Asta can destroy some magic, he cannot destroy all of them at once. This entire squad was also there to help. But all the strength still wasn't enough. Suddenly, the captain of Asta's squad appears to help. His name is Yami, and with the help of other captains and other super powerful magicians, They manage to stand up to these Magus kings. It's a fierce battle, and they manage to rescue King Julius. Yami knows they stand no chance and sends Asta and another squad member to an isolated location to retrieve a certain magical item created by the first Magus king. Only with this secret object would they stand a chance against Conrad and the other Magus king. The captains then continued the battle while Asta went to retrieve this object, along with Noel and another squad member. Even though it's an incredible battle where everyone demonstrates absurd powers, just one of the Magus kings can stop. Yami is desperate because according to King Julius, with Conrad possessing the Imperial Sword, he can absorb the energy of the entire kingdom and thus use it to hit one of the mana rivers that runs underground and consequently easily destroy the entire continent. Since everyone is there to try to stop him and they are the strongest knights in the kingdom, the battles are impressive in every sense. But Conrad's power with the Imperial Sword is completely beyond all limits, and he simply creates his own flying fortress with that stadium. Around it, there is an impenetrable barrier. Now all the captains are trapped there with the Magus King. Before the battle resumes, we see Asta, Noel, and the other young man arriving at a secret location to retrieve the item. As they descend to the deepest part of this secret location, one of the employees tells them what is happening regarding these Magus Kings. Conrad was the 27th of the Magus Kings and was by far the most powerful man at that time. But when he was king, something happened and he decided to stage a coup, subtracting the Imperial Sword. No one knows why he did this, but the Magus King Julius, along with his knights, managed to stop him and told the whole world that he fell ill and lost his life. The employee then reminds Asta and his friends that King couldn't defeat Conrad, not even with the most powerful knights in the world. He just managed to lock him in a seal using his time magic. Conrad uses a magic based on keys. He can create these keys to subtract the abilities of any person and then use them as if they were his own. This is done through small doors opened by such keys. Everyone then arrives at the location where the powerful item created by the first Magus King is hidden. This item can contain the powers of the Imperial Sword and they can use it to seal Conrad. But when they open the door, everyone has a terrible surprise. Conrad was already inside and destroyed this item. Even with his anti-magic sword, Asta wasn't fast enough for the super powerful Magus King, who trapped him on the ground with his magic and then subtracted the powers of Noel's royal family. The man then showed them everything that was happening. Thanks to the magic subtracted from the people by the Imperial Sword, the Magus Kings had already dominated everyone and defeated the captains. No one can do anything. The army of magical soldiers from Queen Princess can stand up to the most powerful armies in the world. She is extremely powerful. In addition, there are still the other three Magus Kings. Out of nowhere, Asta manages to free himself from the magic that was holding him and goes after Conrad. Extremely angry with everything the man is doing, Asta finally releases his demonic powers. With his powers increased several times, the battle becomes impressive. He has enough speed and strength to keep up with Conrad, who is fascinated by his anti-magic powers. He then decides not to take Asta's life because he wants to convince him to join him in his cause to improve the world. But Asta doesn't give up on everything he believes in and thinks that no one can control people's lives. He continues the battle, but Conrad is too powerful and using his magic can easily control everything around him, causing massive damage to Asta, who can no longer move. The man then says that he will use all the powers of all the previous Magus Kings that are inside the Imperial Sword to transform the world, eliminating all people with magic and then making only those he deems worthy be reborn. The man tries to convince Asta, saying that together they could create a world where no one would ever suffer and everyone would just smile. But Asta says he doesn't want that. He's going to be the next magic emperor and will protect all the people so they can be happy. The young man then says that his magic is the power of never giving up. These words are familiar to Conrad, as he has said them in the past. The man then tells Asta that his plan to destroy the continent will end at dawn, and Asta has until then to change his mind. Suddenly, Asta's friends appear to help. They rescue Asta, and Yuno also appears. Together, they try to distract Conrad so that one of them can seal him in a magic spell, but the Magic Emperor is far ahead of them in terms of power. With no other choice, takes everyone away using his wind power. Conrad then communicates with the other Magic Emperors and asks if they have found the source of the most powerful mana river in the country. They then say that they found it in Asta's hometown, right in the skeleton of the most powerful demon of all, who was defeated by the first Magic Emperor. Meanwhile, we see that the wounded knights were taken to a secret location to recover. Everyone is desperate because they lost their captains and stand no chance against the Magic Emperors. But Asta doesn't want to give up. Even though he hasn't fully recovered yet, he tells everyone that they only have until dawn to figure out this situation. The protagonist begins his speech and lifts the morale of the entire group, who decide to work together to destroy the Magic Emperors. Asta is someone who never gives up and can instill confidence in anyone's heart, even knowing that they might not stand a chance. They head towards the battle and are surprised because some captains appeared there to help them. These captains are part of the group of the most powerful magicians in the world and were separated in different places around the globe doing missions. Upon hearing everything that was happening, they returned to help. One of them is so powerful that she trains inside a volcano. All of them have even heard that the other captains who were at the stadium are still alive thanks to having their magic absorbed by the Imperial Sword. Everyone then decides to head to the battle. But first, they rest a little to renew their energies. They plan to use Asta's squad base to launch the first attack. After all, their base can move completely freely, being controlled by magic. The plan is to break through all the barriers of the Magic Emperors and let Asta destroy the Imperial Sword with his anti-magic power. Upon reaching the base, they have problems recovering it because the army of soldiers was already there. Even so, with the help of two captains, they managed to enter. Then they use everyone's magic at the same time to transform the base into a large ship and fly away from there. But a gigantic army is in front of them to stop them, and three of the captains will have to stay there to stop them from following the ship. They create an opening in the ranks of these soldiers so that everyone can proceed. Thanks to this sacrifice, they approach Conrad's great fortress, but one of the Magic Emperors was already there in front, and using his gigantic power, he created a large laser to stop them from passing. Everyone then, using their fire, lightning, and other powers, made a great joint attack. This attack destroyed the Magic Emperor's laser, and one of the other members used this teleportation technique to transport the entire base inside the first barrier. Now the second and more powerful one will have to be destroyed by Asta's anti-magic powers. He then, using his anti-magic sword, makes the sword multiply in size and uses it as a spear to break this indestructible barrier. Two Magic Emperors appear to stop him, but the group manages to transport them to a remote location and go there to fight them. Asta is left alone to destroy the barrier, but there was a third Magic Emperor who comes to stop him. The last of the captains appears to rescue the ship that was already falling, and went after that Magic Emperor, giving Asta the chance he needed to destroy the barrier and cross into the fortress. Along with the others stayed outside to start a battle against the other two Magic Emperors. That third one stayed inside to try to stop Asta and Yuno, but Yuno himself managed to stand up to him and distract him so that Asta could go to Conrad and destroy the Imperial Sword. Asta set off on his mission and, used great powers to repeatedly attack that Magic Emperor, but he dodged everything. The man just didn't imagine that this was a plan by, to secretly free the captains who were trapped inside. Along with these three captains, they go after that Magus King to try to defeat him. Meanwhile, the other knights outside were battling against the Wizard King with powers of ice. The captain with great fire powers was battling against Printia. They have an epic clash, and Printia praises the captain because she is the first person to make her truly fight without holding back her power. Their battle is impressive, but the Ice Wizard King had all the ease to defeat the group of knights. Noelle was without her powers and couldn't do much. As soon as the man creates a large church and a gigantic ice monster, everything around him freezes, and the knights no longer have a chance against him. Meanwhile, Asta finally got a Conrad to stop him, but the man used his magic to hold him in the air while he plunged the Imperial Sword into the Mana River. The whole continent began to be destroyed. Asta knows he has to destroy this sword and goes after it with all his powers, but the man uses infinite magic to stop him. He is very powerful, and besides all the techniques, he manages to use the force of the Imperial magic to channel all at the same time in his body into a super powerful being. And the other captains managed to use combined attacks to defeat the other Wizard King, but now he simply stopped, forming a barrier around everything and concentrated his powers. These Wizard Kings are extremely powerful. Asta, using his demonic powers, could not face Conrad. The anti-magic cannot destroy his powers in time. Because they are large, Asta became slower during this impressive battle until Conrad used an extremely powerful attack to stop him and then pierced him with his sword. Asta had no more chance of winning, but he would not give up. He remembered why he wanted to become the new Wizard King. To save the whole kingdom. At this moment, we see that all people in the world have a clover. Each leaf of this clover means integrity, hope, and love. But some are born with a 4-leaf clover, which means good luck. And only one of them is born with a 5-leaf clover, which means demonic powers. And this is the most powerful demon of all lives inside his body and decides to lend his powers to him. Now Asta's powers were once again raised to an extreme height, and with the weight of all humanity on his back, he went with strength after Conrad. Now Asta's speed was great enough to make him dodge all the attacks and get close to the Imperial Sword. Conrad would not let him destroy it so easily, but Asta manages to go after him and destroys part of his powers with his anti-magic. Thanks to this, Noelle regained her powers and together with everyone there managed to face the Ice Wizard King and put him on his knee. Everyone then made him realize that taking away people's free will was not the right thing, and he gave up the world. Asta, surpassing all his limits with demonic powers, used an extremely powerful attack against Conrad that made the sword come out of place and the continent stop being destroyed. At this moment, without the magic of the sword, the other Wizard Kings could not continue to live and began to return to the beyond. But Asta had not yet won. Conrad, saying he lost, decided to use a forbidden spell and gave his life for a gigantic meteor to destroy the entire continent. Asta was caught by the first impact of this spell and no longer had the strength to fight it. Everyone would lose their lives. But the demon once again lent part of his power to Asta, and the Wizard King Julius appeared with the Imperial Sword. He wanted to help the young man to defeat Conrad. Everyone around the world then sent their powers to the sword so that Astasa could use it. The young man then, using his demonic powers and all the magic of his friends, went after that meteor. Together, magic and anti-magic destroyed that gigantic attack of world proportions. Conrad was finally defeated. He would now join the other Wizard Kings in the beyond. The last moment, he regretted all he had done to avenge a world that took his beloved from him. The Imperial Sword was destroyed and no one else would be able to use it to destroy the world. Everyone thanks Asta for saving the world. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe. Leave your opinion in the comments. Until the next video.